Out of these three, I definitely say this one is the best. This is part 2 of going through this box of coffees from around the world. In this video, I'm going to go through the middle 3 from Guatemala, Colombia, and the Dominican Republic. I'm going to go through what makes the coffees different and see which one I think is the best. First up, it's the Guatemala Elephant. No, there aren't actually elephants in Guatemala. The name refers to the size of the coffee beans grown there, which are almost triple the size of other coffee beans. They are called Marigüepe beans, and the ones in this box are from the volcanic slopes of Lake Atitlan. Coffee was first introduced to Guatemala in the 18th century, and since then Guatemala has grown to become the 10th largest producer in the world. Almost all coffee produced in Guatemala is Arabica coffee, and nearly all is fully washed, meaning the outer layer of the berry is removed using water, also known as wet processing. This coffee is full-bodied and meant to have bold flavour with deep roasted base tones, also some fruity top notes and a chocolatey sweetness. Right, so let's go and try it. So I'm back with coffee number 1. The first thing I noticed about this was that the smell when you open the packet didn't have any kind of chocolatey smell to it at all that all of the ones in part 1 had. I'm going to let this cool down a little bit and then I will be tasting it. It's really nice. It just tastes so far like quite just a really smooth coffee. It does have quite a strong coffee taste, which is really good. I wouldn't say I'm tasting much of a sort of fruity taste to it at all, or a chocolate taste at all, but it does taste a bit roasted. I do think it's just a really nice tasting coffee. It doesn't have any sort of horrible harsh taste to it. It's not too strong, it's not too weak. It's quite smooth tasting, quite creamy tasting. You can really taste the flavour of the coffee. The only thing it doesn't have is the sort of extra notes it's meant to have, but other than that, I'd say it's really, really nice coffee. Next up is the San Agustin Columbia coffee. This is a coffee from the small farms around the town of San Agustin, which is in the Andean Mountains in western Colombia. Coffee was introduced to Colombia in around the 17th century, and it is now the 3rd largest coffee producer in the world, accounting for about 12% of the world's coffee supply. Again, this is mainly Arabica coffee like Guatemala. Due to the climate there, they use the washed method of processing the coffee, and unlike most countries, they actually have 2 harvesting seasons a year. San Agustin is known for being close to an archaeological site which has lots of pre-Columbian remains, such as these large stone figures. The coffee there is grown on steep slopes under the shade of banana and rubber trees. This coffee is medium-bodied and is meant to have a caramel sweetness, with a touch of orange acidity and a milky chocolate finish. So let's see if I can taste that. Right, I'm back with the second coffee of the day. First thing when I opened the packet of this one, there was definitely no kind of chocolatey smell at all. It was quite a strong coffee smell. I kind of describe it as like a burnt coffee smell. So I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit and then I will be giving it a taste. Definitely quite a different taste to the last one. Tastes quite watered down first of all, and not getting any sort of hints of anything other than just the coffee. Definitely not as nice as the previous one. I can taste a tiny bit of a sort of chocolatey finish though, but I think the actual coffee taste itself just doesn't taste as nice. Yeah, the coffee actually just doesn't taste as nice. It's not as smooth, it's not as bold, it's not as strong tasting. It's definitely not one I would be rushing back to buying again. I can't taste any caramel sweetness or any orange acidity either. Just a sort of like watered down, not amazing coffee taste first of all, and then there is a bit of a chocolatey finish though, which does taste okay. Last on the list we have the Dominican Republic coffee. It's got some butterflies on the front. This is grown on small farms in the Constanza Valley in the Cordillera Central region. The Cordillera Central region is the highest mountain range in the whole of the Caribbean and is located on the island of Hispaniola. Coffee was first introduced to the Dominican Republic in around 1715, and the main coffee grown there is Arabica, with a small percentage of it being Robusta. They didn't start exporting their coffee until around 1872, and still only a very small percentage of the coffee grown there is exported. The coffee is meant to have a sweet fruitiness, be juicy and well-rounded, have some chocolate notes and a crisp apple acidity. So let's go see if I can taste that. So I'm back with the third and final coffee of the video. Firstly, when I opened the packet for this one, I couldn't smell much coffee at all. It kind of smells like a weak chocolate cake mixture. Maybe that's a good sign for there being a bit more of a chocolatey taste in this one. We'll have to see. So I'm gonna let it cool down again and then I'll be tasting it. First thing was there was a bit of a weird sort of taste in my breath then. First impressions is that it just tastes like a very average coffee, really. Can't really taste much else. Not getting any chocolate, not getting any kind of sweet taste, any fruitiness, not getting any apple acidity either, just not quite as nice as the other two coffee, really. Well, probably about the same as the middle one, really. The first one was definitely a lot more of a nicer coffee than this. So, in conclusion, just sort of tastes like a bit of an average coffee. It's decently smooth, but I can't taste any of the apple or the chocolate tones or anything. Right, so that concludes all the coffees I'm trying in this video. By comparison to the coffees I had in part one, I'd say all of these didn't really have much of the extra taste they were meant to have. None of them really had any sweetness. The chocolate wasn't very strong in any of them. I couldn't taste much of the apple or the orange that they were meant to have. Out of these three, I definitely say this one is the best, the Guatemala Elephant. It had by far the nicest tasting coffee, it tasted the smoothest, and it's one I'd definitely buy again. These two were both okay, but I wouldn't be rushing back to buy them. If I had to pick, I'd probably go with the Colombian one, but really it's quite close. This one was just maybe a bit smoother and a bit slightly nicer tasting. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in part 3.